Hello and welcome to Ashton Hayes. This is Kate Harrison and I'm Roy Alexander from the Ashton Hayes Going Carbon Neutral project. Kate, how did this all get started, this project?
Well, I'm reminding myself by using our lovely timeline here that in 2005 one of our founders, Gary Charnock, came up with the idea of a carbon neutral community. So in 2006 we had a public meeting which quite a huge number of people attended. We had to run it through everything twice, such was the interest from our small village. People just went home and followed the advice that they'd been given at the initial meeting, and from there the project grew and grew. Because we were a community that was in at the start of this type of action, we attracted a lot of interest from around the world, not just from around the UK but from all parts of the world, and we spent the next few years welcoming visitors from all over really, which was great for our village. We met some very interesting people.
And what sort of things were people doing in the village then as part of this project?
I think the main thing was people went back and started looking at their energy consumption. And of course I did that myself, and it was quite startling how much I was able to save in a relatively short period of time. It made people think about how they used electricity and gas rather than just taking it for granted. And of course costs were reduced, but then we managed through that to reduce the carbon footprint of the community quite considerably. One of the things that was quite effective was people taking fewer flights. And of course, you know, that's come in today's time where people are still taking fewer flights, but for different reasons. And one of the things we didn't really succeed very much with was car travel, because we're a rural village and most people needed cars to be able to get to work and go about their daily business. But in general, we managed to save a considerable amount of our carbon footprint over the first 5 years.
Right, and then what happened? What sort of developments happened to follow that?
Well, in the first 5 years here on this side of the timeline, we found that people were we were doing things like installing, as you can see from us behind here, we're installing renewable energy within the village. So we put panels onto the sports pavilion, and then we put panels on the school, and both of those are still generating energy and generating income for the community, which is partly used to support our local playing field.
Excellent. And what's been happening more recently as we move towards the top right of this diagram?
Well, in more recent years, we had a 10th anniversary in 2016, and to be honest, we thought that maybe interest in the project had run its course. But what we do find is that people are even more interested as time progresses. One of the things we've recently been struck with in the village is flooding. Now, they weren't as bad as the floods that we saw in Europe, but of course any flooded house is a tragedy for the family involved. And that has resulted in our local council, our parish council and the local utility companies having to look very carefully into how they now deal with things like excess water, excess rainfall. And as we're expecting warmer, wetter summers, which is what we've had this year, I think it's going to be something that we have to be concerned about for the future. And it's clearly a concern across the world. So we're hoping that one of the results of COP26 is that people take notice of the threats to our ways of life and do something about it.